Welcome to Wapiti Wednesday live Q&A for Wednesday, May 7th. Man, we are in the fifth month of the year already. You know the fact that we're in the fifth month, you know what that means. We're not that far from season. But to start tonight's episode, we have some news to share. Some pretty exciting news. Mr. Gregory Betts, what's the news you have to share?
I'm going to Costa Rica.
Oh, really?
I drew a moose tag, once in a lifetime moose tag. Yay.
Woo-hoo. That's awesome.
Yeah. So I've got four other guys I hunt with that are going to help find one.
Not only find
and pack him out.
but it's going to take all five of you just to pack out each quarter.
We have horses now.
Oh, good thing.
Tell you what, those elk are big animals. I know when I hunted Newfoundland, and man, when I grabbed those quarters and started packing them, and the guide was like, "What are you doing?" And I'm like, "Do you expect me to sit there and watch you do all this work?" And he goes, "That's what all other clients do." And I said, "I ain't built that way." And then I picked up that first quarter and I was like, I'm regretting this. And it was only a front quarter. When I got to the hind quarters, I was like, oh, I want to go back to elk hunting. These things are big. So, all right, here we go.
I'll drag it.
Yeah. Share.
You just don't know how big until you see one.
Okay. So we're going to start. I'm going to show you guys two different programs. Okay. So first off, we're going to start with OnX. Okay. Now remember, and you guys can see this okay, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yes.
So remember tonight we are specifically eScouting and targeting bedding areas, right? So, okay, I want to minimize this because I want to have access to tools. So the one thing that do is I always start with north at the top of the page. And there's a few things that I'm looking for as I start zooming in. Now, I know that the top of the page is going to be north, but what I'm really looking for is I'm looking for faces that point towards this top right corner, okay? Because if it's pointing to that top right corner, that's telling me that that is northeastern facing slope. Elk typically bed on north and northeastern facing slopes because those are the cooler sides of the mountain. So I'm looking for faces as I start zooming in. I'm looking for faces. Can you guys see my cursor at all?
Yes.
Okay. Do you see this little area off Deer Creek here that I'm highlighting right now?
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
Okay, that is north facing. So I'm just going to go through, okay, right on the other side of Deer Creek. Do you see how this side right here, where my cursor is facing the top right corner?
Yep.
That immediately tells me that that is northeastern facing. So as I'm kind of zooming in, I'm just paying attention to these different types of areas. And I'll tell you right now, there is something on this page that is just screaming at me that has the best of all worlds. And we're just going to circle this right on the page right now. Do you guys see what I'm looking at on this Spanish Peaks?
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
We have some faces that are pointing towards the top of the page. We have some faces that are pointing towards the top right corner. But if you notice too, we also have some open pockets, and as we zoom in, we see some green fields. So now that I see this, now I'm going to come to my tool and I want to look at this in 3D. Okay. We are still north up to the top of the page. So what I am going to do is I'm going to right click and hold it. And then I'm going to slide my mouse to the left because now I want to basically be, now I'm almost sitting up in that top right-hand corner, looking down to the left-hand corner when we were flat. So basically, everything that I'm looking at right here is all north and northeastern facing slopes. But the other thing, so you guys that have been a member of this for a long time, do you guys notice anything else in here? Any other features that you've heard me talk about that I absolutely love?
Benches?
Benches.
Plateaus and benches, yes.
Anybody picking up plateaus and benches in this?
Hmm.
So
Oh,
those of
yes.
you that have been through some of our e-scouting, you guys kind of getting excited about something like this?
Yes.
Oh, yeah.
That was the correct answer. Thank you for the dramatic pause before you all said that. Jesus, criminy, you guys are killing me. So basically, this would be an area that I would most definitely mark. The other thing that I'm noticing too, there's not a lot of roads. So now the other thing, before I really mark this down, I want to change from satellite to hybrid. Because the reason being is, what's my water situation in there? Holy cow. We got a wee bit of water in there, boys.
Yes, there is.
Man, now that you really look at these grid lines over here on the right-hand side, you can drag this forward, slide it around a little more. Jason, you're in Montana, ain't you?
Colorado.
Oh, all right, sorry. I thought I may have just found you a spot.
I was gonna say I need to move.
Um, yeah, so just that quick. This would be something. So now I'm going to click 2D, put my map back to north. So that would be something that, now I would come in and basically I may draw a box around this whole thing and label it as potential area, or drop a pin. So now it's basically just kind of backing out hike or horse. So really your only way into this is going to be hike or horse. So 151 is going to be your closest road, unless I guess you could come from the backside, but you're still hike horse in. This may be something, yeah, because that's 10 miles, off the road to get in there. Probably, actually 8 to there, 10 up to there. So 10-mile hike one way. Since most of us are getting a little longer in the tooth, I would probably start researching this for a drop camp, see if there was an outfitter either running in the area that could do drop camps, or if there is an outfitter in this area. But I'm thinking that's an area that would hold some pretty decent numbers. So, okay, let's come back over here on Deer Creek. We were looking at some of these areas over here. Zoom in a little bit more. Let's go to 3D view. Okay, I'm already seeing something really interesting right there. We're going to rotate, so we're looking back and looking at these north-facing slopes. Look at this unique feature. So you've got Deer Creek coming, but you almost have this funnel between Dudley Creek and Deer Creek. That's a really unusual feature, but we also have quite a bit of bedding area in the dark timber. Okay, we actually have, wow, water that goes through that cut down the face. We've got an elevated knob in the middle of the area.
And Michael, will you point out as you're going through a couple spots, and maybe you're about to get to this, so my apologies if you are. But when you talk about, I'm familiar with benches, but when you talk about bedding benches,
Yeah.
what are you seeing here when you flip on that hybrid topo? Where are you looking at? Okay, that's probably a bedding area. That could be a bedding area.
Okay. So So we already know any face that we're looking at right now is going to be a bedding area because that's a north or northeastern facing slope. Now there are a few areas that draw my attention. So where my cursor is right now, this face over here above Deer Creek, do you notice how the timber looks different? That tells me this is thicker timber. So when thicker timber on northeastern facing slopes historically tells me those are great bedding areas, especially when turn on the hybrid and you have water right below those. So these guys can go from bedding down to water really easy. Now, what I'm talking about benches is we'll just rotate it. So do you see this topo line right here, Jason, how it really flattens out?
Mm-hmm.
These are benches. These are areas that flatten out and become really soft in grade. Because if you look at everything to the side of them, how the lines are closer together, the closer the line, the steeper the grade. The farther apart the line, the more gentle the grade. So within this area right here between the creeks, these faces, and this bench, this gives a lot of unique features because you have a few different, just in this area right here alone, 1, 2, 3 different bedding areas that, you could basically work this for a full day loop right here and take advantage of a lot of different terrain features. So does that answer your question about benches?
So it
And
sounds like,
I'll point it out more when we get into some other.
yeah, what I'm hearing you say is the grade doesn't matter too much. I mean, to an extent, I've heard,
Okay,
to be in the 15 to 20 degree range, but they also love the flats. So,
they do. And in fact, right here, do you see where my cursor is?
yep.
Great indication of a bench right there.
Hmm.
So because you have grid line, tight, tight, soft, tight, tight. This would be definitely a good place that I would go look into.
Cool.
Oh, because we found something else in this feature when we zoomed in even farther. What's that, fellas?
Water.
We got a little pond, got a little lake. So again, this would be an area that I would mark as potential. So it's kind of one of those things that you find these areas on the map and they look great, but you have to get boots on the ground on them because you never know. This could be an old photo and there's a fire that came through and it's just matchsticks, or something that there's just absolutely no elk sign in there. So you got to get boots on the ground and see it. So, okay. So that is on X. So, oh, that's weird. When I went to sharing, Sandy was in, Kurt wasn't. Now we come back and Sandy's gone and Kurt's with us. You guys are swapping seats here.
How we roll. We're
Yeah.
switching, taking turns.
Gotta keep me on my toes. So
Yeah, see if we can pay $10 a month instead of 20.
there you go. Shared seat space. New program. So all right. So Jason, any questions on using the on-X aspect?
I think that makes sense.
Does it? So just remember, and we're gonna go into using Google Earth now, but it's gonna be the same kind of concept. Top of the page, top right corner. Okay.
And proximity to water, you're saying, is super important, right?
Yes. So, every place is going to be a little bit different too. You know what? Let's just do a little fun. Put my money where my mouth is. Okay, are we good? Can everybody see Google Earth?
Yes.
Yep.
Yes.
Okay. Nobody cares about Wyoming. So why don't we just take a look at Colorado? So what I do is I start at the 10,000 foot view, what we're looking at now. Now, there's areas, that are obviously going to start drawing my eye as I start zooming in. And basically what I'm looking for is mountainous timbered areas without too many roads and too much population. Okay. Now, Google Earth is a little bit tougher to really distinguish faces that are towards the top or top right corner. But as we zoom in more, we can kind of start to see a little bit. Okay, so now this kind of has me curious. So we're going to go ahead and choose the 3D view. And Google Earth, as soon as you hit 3D, it starts on this rotation. So all you do is you come over and you click on the compass. Now you can change the tilt, how much tilt you have, and you can also change the heading. So what we're going to do is we're going to take that red disc and we're going to rotate it. Oh, come on. Rotate it to about 220 degrees. Yeah, we'll call it 214. So by rotating at 214, now that tells me every face that I'm looking at is north or northeastern facing. Now, Google Earth, if you have a mouse with a roller, you can zoom in and out. Ooh, 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 ooh. Something immediately when I did that dropped my attention. So, Jason, you were talking about benches
Mm.
and how to see them. That is a great indication of a bench that's about 3/4 of the way up a mountain that forms a little bowl basin. This is an area that I would definitely hike into to check out. Now, the one thing about um, this is a new abstract layer, so no, don't like it. Go back to satellite. So I don't do a ton in Google Earth just because I like the ability to switch to the hybrids in maps that OnX does. But I'm seeing a lot on this face that I can tell you there's already water here. I can just see by natural lines within the trees and shape of this mountain that there's water on here. Plus lots of area to feed. Now I'm kind of curious. Where am I at? Fawn Lake Campground. Sorry, curiosity's getting me on this. So we're going to switch over to on X. Okay, let's see. Oh, gosh dang it.
Just east of Pagoda Peak.
Pagoda Peak. Okay, thank you. Okay, there's Pagoda Peak. Yeah, so Rough Creek. Okay, that and that.
How far from Steamboat is that?
Um,
I hear a ways from Steamboat on that one.
yeah.
I'm gonna say that might have been where I got that elk.
Oh, really?
Yeah. Not that it matters.
Well, I'm just kind of curious. So yeah, we knew there was water because we kind of figured it, but there is that bench basin. Huh. Hybrid. Yeah, we got a little creek that goes right up into that bench basin also. That's what I was kind of curious about.
Hmm.
So, hmm.
It's high up there too. Whoop.
What's that?
It's high up there too.
98?
98.
Yeah. Yeah, you got some elevation.
Yeah.
So bring your oxygen.
Hmm.
Man, there's a lot of water in that area. Holy cow.
I guess I didn't realize. So I drove by there a couple years ago, and it is, as it looks, very thick with pines.
Is it?
Yeah. You've got the breaks like you see,
Yeah.
but I didn't realize that deep in those thick pines where there's, you're a good mile from feed in some cases, that you would be basically bumping around there, it sounds like, all day, doing some calling, checking for sign, checking for water, staying in the dark timber pretty much all day. Is that what I'm hearing?
Yeah. Yeah. That's where basically, so again, I would put a great big box around that.
Hmm.
And then it's basically time on the ground. Now, once I find an area like that and I go in, one of the things that I do is as soon as I find a major game trail, I follow it. Show me where are you going? What is this game trail and what are these animals going to show me? Are they going to show me a water source? Are they going to show me a spring? Are they going to show me a wallow? Are they going to show me a bedding ground? Is it going to be a travel corridor going to feeding area? I mean, it's just that trail can tell you so much. And as I'm on that trail, I'm dropping pins. Well, yeah, okay. Okay. Are you guys ready for this?
Let's roll.
Okay. There you
Does
go.
that mean that Greg's gonna drive? Is that what that means?
There's all my hunting spots. So if you guys can mark them and find them, they're yours. But yeah, I mean, you can see by the cluster of pins just how much I drop.
Yeah.
Yep.
And that's what I do a lot of times on those is I'm dropping as potential area, potential bedding area, potential travel corridor, potential water source, potential. When I see potential, that tells me that I've e-scouted it and these are areas that I want to look. When I go in on ground and I confirm, then I rename that point and I drop the potential. So, I mean, I could have, you know, potential truck parking, potential side by side parking, potential bugle spot, potential access. But then once I'm in there, then I start, you know, like I said, dropping the potential. Now I know this is where I want to park. This is where I want to access. I'll even turn on, if I find a really good trail that I have in, you know, really good pins, and I know once I get to my farthest point, I'm going to start working back, I'll turn tracks on. Because now all of a sudden, I'm going to follow that track and that's going to give me my path all the way to my vehicle. And I've got a great path. Now, here's the thing, that path is a starting point. Because once you actually get in there and you start working and hunting, things are going to change. You are going to find easier routes in and easier routes out, especially when you get an animal on the ground. So, like I said, Google Earth sometimes is a useful tool. I know that there's people out there that really use Google Earth a lot. I just think with the tools that OnX, Go Hunt, Base Map, the tools that those guys all have, you have so much, because the nice thing is too is everything that you do on the computer transfers to your phone and vice versa. So even with OnX, if you have maps downloaded and you are in airplane mode and you're dropping pins, when you get back into coverage and you're off of airplane mode, guess what? It syncs with your online maps and everything syncs together. So everything you do offline on your downloaded map will sync with your online. So then everything you do is there. Same thing with your routes and travels and so I can see Jason's wheel turning. He has a camping trip coming up pretty soon to an area to go hike and look. Are we wrong? Because you're giggling, you're snickering, you're going there, aren't you?
I am. I don't know when, but that's what I need to put on my calendar. I need to get out there. I am a firm believer though in e-scouting. I invested, I may have told you, quite a bit of time 2, 3 years ago and got my first bull. And it was way more productive to be behind the computer than it was boots on the ground to start.
No, you most definitely. I mean, you have this tool in today's age, so why not e-scout first and save yourself a bunch of time and miles on the truck, miles on the boots. You know, the way we used to do it.
Yeah.
So,
Is there any
but
way to check on eScouting to see where the best travel corridors could be?
travel corridors are a little tougher.
And so,
So, um, just because when e-scouting, once I find a bedding area, I'll look around for potential open faces and open ridges for potential feeding areas. So now I have potential feeding, potential bedding. Now it's boots on the ground to really lock in the travel corridor. And then once you have the travel corridors, then now it's deploying trail cameras to say, okay, which travel corridor is from feeding to bedding and which one's from bedding to feeding? Is it the same corridor, or do they have a different corridor based on mountain, you know, the thermals and the patterns that they're traveling and the direction that they're traveling? So are they gaining elevation or are they losing elevation? Are they side hilling? Are they going through saddles? Are they going through funnels? So there's a lot of different things that it's tough to find those things, Jim, with e-scouting. So, um,
mm,
so, um, so, um, 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 so That's where kind of boots on the ground is your best bet. You can plug some guesses and put them as potential. Like, oh, that's right, you dropped out. We were talking about that when you're
My
e-scouting.
computer cut me off. I don't know what happened there,
I
but
I don't know what happened. I mean, Larry's
just
went crazy too. All we're looking at is the top part of his shade and ceiling now. So I don't know what Larry's.
oh,
Oh,
there
he
he is.
tilted it up so we couldn't catch him nodding off in the dark in
I
Oklahoma
don't know,
there.
man. My computer started making this weird noise, and all of a sudden it popped up a blue screen, and it's like,
But you
what?
got the blue screen of death.
Yeah,
Remember, just tell your wife you were searching for fidget spinners.
right. Yeah, fidget spinners, got it.
Yeah, yeah.
But
I don't know why. I don't know
not,
why fidget
not
spinners came
midgets.
up, honey. I swear I was searching for fidget spinners. So, uh-huh.
Yeah,
Wow. Yeah. Enjoy that couch tonight, buddy. So,
yeah.
um, so, but no, what we were talking about is when you find an area like that, you start dropping pins. Potential bedding, potential feeding, potential parking, potential access. Then once you get on the boots on the ground and you confirm, yes, this is where I do want to park, you rename that pin from potential parking to truck parking. So the one thing I like to do a lot on pins, especially if I get into this area and now I'm scouting it and I find beds and rubs, I will put bedding area and the year that I found it. I will find rubs, and if I can tell it's last year's rubs, then I'm going to put last year's date. If I'm in an area that has multiple years, because you can tell by what the rub and what the tree looks like, then I may put rubs 24, 23, 22. So now I know that there's the last 3 years of worth of rubs in this area. So this is all information because now it starts to establishing a pattern for you. Okay, we've got a bull that's coming in. He's been in here in the last 2, 3, 4 years, rubbing in the same area. Man, if he's been in here for 3 years or 4 years, man, his rubs are getting bigger. He's getting bigger. So, man, this might be an area that I kind of want to pay attention to because we've got that congregation. But changing those, Jim, from potential to actual once you actually get out there and you confirm those.
Okay,
So
thanks.
that's funny. Jason, you're going to have to let me know. I'm curious. So
What?
if you go in there.
Oh,
So,
well, the spot that you and I scouted
yeah.
last time when we did the solo is
Yeah.
about a mile and a half from there, 2 miles.
Oh, so it's really close to the area you're already hunting.
Very, very close. So
Right
I'm
down the
really
street.
getting to know that area. So now I want to ask you at some point, do you think I should be where I was, or do you think I should be there? Just not like it's magic, but more what am I looking for as I'm evaluating different regions? And clearly pressure's part of it, clearly
Right.
food,
So
water,
basically, what
cover.
I would say is go into this area, take a look at the sign, compare the amount of sign that you see on this side with the other area that you and I already scouted that you and your son have hunted.
Okay.
So let the sign dictate. But here's the thing too, is now because of these two areas that are within a mile and a half, you have option A, option B. What if the area that you have been in, all of a sudden you guys get there and man, it's like, holy cow, there are 32 trucks in this drainage.
Yeah.
We're going to go over to this other area and, oh, there's two. So, and then now that you have those two areas, now doing exactly what we did with the e-scouting, start branching out. Go another 5 miles from there. Do that same thing. Top of the page, top right corner, find another area. And now, so what you're doing is basically you're still in the same general area. You're still within the same elk zone or number, but you have option A, B, C, D, because who knows? What if area A catches fire and A and B both are part of the fire closure area? Now what are you going to do?
Right.
So during season is not really the time to go look. I mean, that happened to us last year. The fire closure area locked us out. The only thing is I already had other areas scouted with boxed for potential areas. Had I been in there boots on the ground to actually get confirmation? No. Well, guess what, fellas? We're going to go get confirmation right during the middle of the season. So, in our first morning in there, by 9 o'clock, had that 6x7 on the ground. So, not a bad way to start in a new area. So, but yeah, I would go in there and just kind of compare what you're seeing, and then since it is that close, based on where you put your camp, if you are at a base camp and you can jump in the truck and drive over there,
Mm,
hunt it for a morning. What's the hunting pressure like?
mm.
How is it compared to where you're at now? Is it better or is it worse?
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
perfect.
And nonchalantly look around. That way elk don't get the idea that you're looking for
Yeah.
When you're out there without a weapon, elk don't care about you. They'll show themselves, do all kinds of fun stuff.
them.
Jim, Michael heard my story. I used his calling class last year, called a bull in for the second time in my life. And it just so happened that I did all this calling perfectly. And then I had to take a leak. So it came in when my trousers were down.
Oh, I had that happen to me on a deer one time. Oh,
I think it was, I have to say, I think it was me, but maybe
mm,
it was the calling. I don't know.
See, it was the peeing that added the realism into your calling scenario. So,
yeah.
it was a bull creating a dry wallow, or just, trying to apply a little bit more cologne to really get that cow to come in. So
Yeah.
it's okay. I've been sleeping on the side of the mountain snoring and had bulls start bugling because of me snoring. So it happens. So all right, guys. Any questions on kind of the e-scouting techniques? Does it kind of make sense?
Makes sense.
Kind of in a way. Fat Map had all the markings and everything.
I know Fat
Had to
Map
get
had
it.
the overlays,
Yeah.
the sun
That's great.
exposure, the gradient, the benches, the flats, and yeah, unfortunately, Fat Map went away.
But
So
it had all the
Really?
markings. And I talked to the Fat Map people, and they said download all the data, and there's a way to incorporate it into Onyx. I haven't figured that out.
huh.
Do you know where the data is, Greg?
I have it on a file on this computer here somewhere.
They're not hosting it anywhere anymore, huh? Just the data.
Well,
Well,
no,
yeah,
Fat Map was actually bought out. So the new company that bought them had said on their website, be patient during the integration. All the Fat Map features will be available soon on our platform. I haven't checked for a while, but within the time frame they were saying, I never saw them pop up. I mean, Fat Map used to be the greatest tool for scout because you can find bedding areas and benches just like that. It's just a matter of clicking a button for sun exposure, and it had this wheel with all different colors. So all you did was look at the color for north, look at the color for northeast, and man, there it is. Then you could pop 3D view, you could rotate, but then you could also turn off the sun exposure and turn on flats, and it gives this green color on the map that anywhere that's flat, so whether it's valley or on the side of the mountain or atop of a ridge, or man, it would light up like a Christmas tree. It was a
It
truly
was
great
cool.
tool,
yeah.
and I'm
I
very
didn't know if
excited.
you knew of any way to incorporate other than I could I could see the coordinates and just kind of hand punch them in, but no, that's a long, slow process.
Yeah, yeah. So, well, I think what they're talking is with your GPS coordinates of the pins that you had in FatMap, you could download those and you can actually upload them. You just got to make sure that the format of the latitude and longitude from FatMap matches the formatting of OnX.
Right.
If they match, then you can import that pretty easy. So, because I was actually able to import pins into my Onyx from my old GPS unit and pins from Liz's late husband's GPS unit. So I actually got access to some of his pins as well.
Yeah.
Oh,
Well, last September, I used FatMap and Onyx side by side on the phone. It would mark one, mark the other, mark one, mark the other,
Yeah.
because I knew we were losing it.
So let me do this. I will dive in and see if the company that took over FatMap, if those features are now active within FatMap, and then I'll report to everybody. So I'll do a little bit of homework on that. So
So, Michael, I have a related question on eScouting, and it comes down to how much do you take the time to identify pressure routes, buffer zones around travel corridors, human travel corridors, whether they're roads, whether they're footpaths, horse paths, whatever, versus how much do you just go in there and just figure out, all right, I'm a mile from anything, so I'm good. And where this is coming from for me is, you showed that great shot in Montana at the beginning, 10-mile hike in, and back in the day I would have done that. And now I'm like, I get back there and I'm totally committed and I'm wiped for a day.
yeah,
And so I lose a day in and I lose a day out,
yeah,
basically. So I
yeah,
like to try to find areas where I can pivot quickly if the elk aren't there. And I'm
correct.
just curious how pressure plays into your kind of front end analysis.
So So one of the things that I do is once I get boots on the ground and I look at an area and go, okay, this is an area that I'm interested in hunting. I see enough sign, I've dropped enough pins. Now I'm going to go to the next depth of scouting and basically, yeah, then I'm going to look for escape corridors. Where's the potential pressure coming from? Where are they going to go? But I don't I don't dive into that too much because I also really start looking for areas within that box that's outside the box. What little areas within this are most people going to overlook? And that's why I have a couple of areas that are less than 200 yards off of a main road that produce elk and good solid bulls year after year after year after year. I mean, I actually have a cluster of beds that is 76 yards above a road. 76 yards. And those beds are used every day, every year. And if you watch people, they may stop, but they will look this way because there's a canyon. They will never bother to pay attention to tracks or look the other way. Or I've actually been sitting up there working a bull and heard a truck and we've shut up. And I've heard them go, oh man, look at these tracks, follow this old road from down there. They crossed here and they went up. And you know what? I know where they're going because from here they can go right up this face. They can hit that other old road and then they hit that soft ridge. And so all we got to do is we got to drive a couple of miles of loop around here and then we'll get into that patch of timber up there. And I'm thinking, cool, you're going to be 2 miles away from here and you don't frickin' matter and you're not going to bother me at all. Bye. So you want to know where those elk are going to go out the back door if they're pressured. But you don't want to read into it so much that if you see 6 rigs, you immediately start going, oh, they're pressured, they're out the back door, that's where I need to go. You still need to go into those spots and confirm that they've been pushed out. Then you go into the back door. Now, the other thing with what you talked about was, I mean, yeah, because I mean, back in the day in my 20s and 30s, I was 7-8 miles back in easily every year for 10 to 14 days. Ain't doing that anymore. Not at 55. So plus plus two, I like the ability now to have a base camp with comforts, but also to have the ability that I can jump in a truck or a side by side and go 10, 20 miles that way, 10, 20 miles that way, 10, 20 miles that way. I'm able to cover a much larger area should things happen. So the area that you're at now, that's kind of what I was alluding to. Now you have this other area that's 1.5 miles, 2 miles from you. So now you keep working on these grid, and now all of a sudden you have this grid section. Now that you have these grid section of potential areas, now you start looking at it differently. Where is my centralized camp location that I can easily access any of these grids on any given day, on any given time? Because now you have flexibility and a freedom no matter what. If one area gets inundated with hunters, you go to a different, and you're not having to relocate camp. You're not having to move camp. Or you get into a grid and it's like, man, the elk are really quiet. You know what, buddy, we're going to wake up at 3:30 tomorrow morning. We're going to get in the truck and we're going to start driving these roads, bugling all these different grids, and we're going to go night fishing. We are going to find a bull that bugles back, because as soon as you get a bull to bugle back, guess what? You're parking your truck. You're going, okay, we got a bull located. That's exactly who we're hunting this morning. Man, now you're pulling up your onX looking and going, you know what? I have a good idea where he's at, and based on these pins from me scouting this area, I have a good idea of where he's going to go, what corridor he's going to go through. This is the route we're going to go to get on him to keep thermals in our favor, and we're going to kill him roughly in this spot right here. That's how we hunt now. We will go night bugling right after dark or early in the morning. We let the elk tell us where we're hunting, because otherwise we turn into creatures of habit. Where do you want to go? I want to go to the Y Canyon. Why do you want to go to the Y Canyon? I just like it in there.
Mm.
Okay. God, we lost Sandy. We lost Larry. Everybody's just dropping off like flies.
I started a trend.
What's that?
I started a trend.
You did, but you came back. So,
Yeah.
all right.
Good.
Any other questions?
Good subject, Jason.
Yeah, Lewis. Thank
That
you.
was a good presentation.
Perfect. Answers your question, gives you some things to think about, and
Yep.
so, Kurt, what state you hunting?
Utah.
Utah.
I might be in Wyoming for deer this year, but I know that's not elk.
Okay. Do you want to take a look at Utah real quick, or do you got your spot kind of dialed in pretty good?
North Manti.
North Manti. So, if the challenge, should you wish to accept it? Okay. So, Manti. What part of the state?
You're right about where your mouse is actually.
Outside of Provo? Park
Yeah,
City, Heber City?
yeah. Go southwest of Park City.
Southwest of Park City.
Sorry, southeast. My bad. I'm horrible with the compass. Southeast.
So, okay, Heber City,
Yeah, keep going south.
North.
north or south?
Oh, north.
Oh, you're looking for Park City. It was north.
No, we're looking for
No, we're
Manti.
looking for Manti.
Yeah.
So, okay,
So
strawberries,
go south of Strawberry. Should be on the other side of the highway.
due south or southeast?
Due south.
Due south.
You'll get to that highway.
Baldy
right.
Mountains,
Yeah, keep going. Keep going.
Highway 6.
Yep, right there. That's all that Manti unit that I like.
Okay.
A lot of private though.
Yeah, and see, and I don't have the Utah, so it's not going to show me private, which might be a little bit tougher, but that's okay. So, okay. So, Cedar Knoll, are we still good that area?
Yeah, like I think if you get down to like Haystack and South Tent, that's kind of more where I hunt.
Okay. Haystack. Gotcha.
Yep.
Okay. All right. So, so we're going to do the same rule of thumb. I'm going to look for mountain faces that are facing the top of the page or the right hand corner. Now, the other thing, if you guys notice too, I forgot to tell this. Do you see how these faces that are facing the top of the page, do you see how they're kind of a little darkened, a little shadowed?
Yes.
That's another way on these maps that you can tell north and northeastern facing. This has kind of drawn my interest here a little bit. Looks like we got some old clear cuts, possibly, with shaves in between. Let's take a look at 3D. Okay, so again, we're going to rotate around so that our north arrow is kind of facing towards the bottom right-hand corner. And now we are looking at some good bedding areas. I'm going to hit hybrid. Okay, so we got one creek on the face. Not really a whole lot of changes in elevation. I mean, we've got consistent topos, we've got consistent, little ridge breaks in here. Not really seeing benches or flats. Yeah, doesn't wow me too much. Let's go back.
It's a it's a steep, annoying area, but there's actually a lot of elk in there.
Is there really?
Yeah.
So do you have to access it off this 51035 to keep?
That's by Joe's Valley right there, right? It's looking like. Yes,
Yeah,
you can get it that way. Or if
North
you go,
Sandpitch Canyon.
yeah.
Yeah, because it
Um,
almost looks like you would have to access it that size or from that side to keep morning thermals in your favor and in your face.
it's
Just
a the wind switch is so bad. Like it just swirls so
yeah,
bad.
because you got the road and the trail up on top of the ridge.
Hmm.
That I mean, that might be a good evening hunt, hunting up top
Yeah.
there, catching them rolling out to feed,
Hmm.
and then at least you got thermals blowing up towards you for a little bit. But South Fork Thistle Creek, anything named Thistle Creek is always kind of interesting because elk love thistles.
I don't think I've hunted that before.
You have or haven't?
I don't think I have.
Well, I'll tell you what, coming up on South Fork, this little kick on the right here,
Hmm.
with that timber above kind of man, that kind of draws my attention a little bit. Just because you have, let me check one thing real quick. Okay, so you got water down below, you got good steep, but then it actually benches out and you actually have a knob. That a lot of times these knobs, I can imagine if you do get in this area, this lower bench knob right here, you were talking about swirly winds, Kurt. You're gonna have swirly winds on this, but
Wow.
elk may really, really like that for a bedding area. So just because of the swirls, they've got protection, but they're also up to a point that they could see things coming at them from below. They got creek and waters down on the bottom. you've got faces right above South Fork Thistle Creek that could be some good bedding area. A bald knob up top for feeding. So, that might be an area that you kind of mark as a potential to go check out to add as an additional area to your hunt area.
Okay. No, yeah, it's good information.
Oh, I love Springs. Too bad it's right there off the road. What's this trail on Haystack? No info available because it's Utah and I'm not paying for Utah.
You just come hunt with me and you can just use mine.
There you go. I would check out this middle fork of Thistle Creek too because it's a box up at the end,
Yeah.
which that's going to give you a lot of bedding area. It also gives you some good daytime feeding areas. You got some good water in it. I like box canyons like this. So because not a lot of people want to go into stuff like this. Based on the grid lines, I can tell you too that it looks like it's going to be some pretty decent huffing to access this, but to me it looks like something that may really be worth getting in there because you could deter and lose a lot of people.
It's better getting in and out of for sure.
Yeah, because I could see people hitting this 50150 road up top and bugling down in these draws, which I mean this would be this could be a fishing route that we were talking about. Because this top road, I mean you've got quite a few canyons down in there that you can bugle.
Like I don't know where Idaho where you're at, but like come July, they are like super responsive to a locator all the time in the heat of July.
Really?
Yeah. It's kind of it is very interesting actually.
Huh. Yeah, no, usually we don't even hear our first bugle until tail end of August. So, but yeah, I would say those would be a couple of areas to definitely go check out and add into the mix. If those aren't areas that you haven't already checked out, could just be some alternate places to add.
Yeah. Thistle Creek it is.
Perfect.
Is it creek or crick?
It depends if it depends if you're a Yankee or a Rebel. So
Oh, okay.
I say crick. So let me. I will use both. I think it determines what the creek name is
Mhm.
on whether I'll say creek or crick. So
There's no right or wrong. It's just my favorite thing to ask people.
yeah, yeah. No, I know it's. Oh, I know the debate. Like, crick. Well, that's something you get in the neck. Really? Well, creek. That's the sound a floorboard makes when it's an old house. And yeah, I know all those debates. All right. With that, since Kurt is starting to stir the pot with the crick or creek discussion, we are going to wrap up this episode of Wapiti Wednesday Live Q&A. So thanks for tuning in, guys. As always, keep calling, keep practicing. More importantly, though, have fun. And we will see you guys in 2 weeks on the next episode of Wapiti Wednesday Live Q&A. Enjoy. Be safe, everybody. We'll see you later.
Good effort tonight.
Yep.